I'm here with the Audi Q4 e-tron and we're here to tell you all you need to know about it. I'm Tom Jervis and you're watching Auto Express. So, the Audi Q4 e-tron, it's been out for a while now and it's the posher sibling to the likes of the Skoda Enyaq and the Volkswagen ID.4. It actually shares those cars' underpinnings, but like those cars, you've got the choice of what you've got here, the SUV model, or if you fancy something a little bit more stylish, there is also a Sportback model with a more sloping roofline. But as you can see, I mean, it's a smart looking thing and it starts from just over £47,000, which actually is quite a bit more than the Skoda Enyaq. Starting off the range is the 40 model, which has a 250-mile range and around 200 brake horsepower, and that will do 0 to 60 miles an hour, I think around 8 seconds. What we recommend is you step up to the 45 model. Now that costs around 5 grand more, but what that does is that gets you a bigger battery and provides around 342 miles, according to Audi, on a single charge. In real world, you can expect something around 280 miles. That's what we've been getting in this one, but you also get a little bit more power as well. 280 brake horsepower, so 0 to 60 under 7 seconds. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more stability, maybe you're somewhere where it rains a lot or snows a lot, there is also a Quattro 4-wheel drive model, so that gets an extra motor on the front wheels. It's got about the same power as the car we've got here, but because of that extra traction, it does reach 62 miles an hour, marginally faster, although I don't think you'd probably notice that in day-to-day. And then finally, you've got the range-topping 55, which has a whopping 340 brake horsepower and will do 0 to 60 in around 5.5 seconds. That gets the same larger battery as the 45 model, but because of the extra power, think a range of around 320 miles. Step inside the Audi Q4, and if you've been in an Audi model over the last few years, you'll be immediately at home in this one. So you've got quite a driver-focused cockpit, as you can see here. It angles towards the driver, and all of the materials actually feel really well screwed together. You've got this kind of metal effect on the dash which brightens things up a bit, given this is a all black interior. We quite like on S-line editions and black editions as well, you get the S embossed on here, which is really nice. As you can see, you've got this kind of squared off steering wheel, and the Audi virtual cockpit, will get into that later. But what I will say is there are some materials that, while they do feel solid and are really nice, I mean, for example, on a Vauxhall Grandland or a Peugeot E3008, you get this cloth effect up here, which, you know, it's probably not quite as durable, but it does feel a little bit posher. Yes, this is nice squidgy plastic. Down here you've got stitching, which is a little bit better, but I don't know, I just potentially expected more from this car. I mean, it does cost £60,000, and on the inside it's certainly nice and it's certainly well screwed together, but I'm not quite sure if it feels it. We also can't go any further without mentioning Audi's virtual cockpit, which arguably remains the best in the business. It's incredibly configurable. As you can see here, we've got full screen maps. For example, if you wanted to look at your charging data, we've also got that there, and you can make that smaller and larger, and your media, and then plus your phone calls as well. Moving back, you've got the steering wheel. Now, some people complain it's got touch sensitive buttons and they can be rather annoying. I'm going to turn that down before we get a copyright strike, but actually I don't find them too bad. They're still clicky, so you can make physical inputs onto them, and yes, you might nudge it once now and again, but it's not too annoying. Before we continue, did you know that you can now sell and buy your next car through Auto Express? We've got decades of trusted experience and we can make your car changing journey easy and worry-free. So just click the link in the description below and get going today. Hopping behind the driver, and I've got a good amount of room back here. So I've got the driver's seat in my position. I'm around 5'10" for reference. And yeah, I've got plenty of legroom. I can even stretch out down here, although your feet do tend to get trapped down there below the driver's seat, and you've also got these nets in here, but that is something that you have to pay extra for, which is a bit mean considering this car's price. But leaning back, I've also got a decent amount of headroom. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that if you go for the Sportback model, that's going to have a more rakish rear end, so that may eat into headroom a little bit. Interior quality back here is okay, if not excellent. You still have these really nicely detailed seats, but of course they come with top spec cars. And you've got a little bit of leatherette here when you put your arm, but unfortunately this up here is all scratchy plastic. But as standard, all cars do get tri-zone climate control with this little display here, which is handy. You've also got two USB pockets back there, there, as well as a 12-volt charger. Open up the boot of the Audi Q4 e-tron and you'll find there is plenty of space for most families. Now, ignoring that rather large load height you see here, you've got 520 litres to work with. Now, what does that mean? Well, you're probably going to be able to fit a large suitcase in there, plus a couple of smaller cabin bags. You've got these little holes down the side, so if you wanted to tuck something away, you can do that. And then round here, you've also got another space and some nettage as well if you need to tie something down. Something I will point out is the fact that in the rear, the Sportback, it's got a little bit of impeded headroom. Well, you actually get more boot space if you go for that model. So you've got 535 litres to work with rather than 520. But regardless, both models do have, if you look under here, some space nicely demonstrated for some charging cables. If you need to fold the seats down, they do fold 3 ways. So if you needed to put some skis or some breadsticks, I don't know what's long, but you can put that in there, and that's pretty easy to do. Unfortunately, there are no handles for you to do that. You have to go all the way around to fold them down, which is a little bit annoying. Also, despite the Q4 e-tron being a purpose-built electric car, there is no front gear in the front, so you're very lucky to have that little space for cables in the back. Let's talk charging. So, all single motor variants of the Q4 e-tron, so think the 40 and the 45, they can charge at speeds of up to 135 kilowatts. So find a quick enough charger, plug it in, and you can expect a 10 to 80% charge in around half an hour. Interestingly, if you go for one of the Quattro models, so those are the 45 Quattro plus the top of the range 55 Quattro, as there is no single motor version of that car, they'll charge at 175 kilowatts. However, due to charging curves, this doesn't really affect times all that much. While it drives really nicely, our main problem with the Audi Q4 e-tron is to do with its B mode, so that's its maximum setting for its regenerative braking system. Now, while this does slow the car down fine and very smoothly, it won't bring it to a full stop, so that means you don't have full one-pedal driving like you would in, say, a Hyundai Ioniq 5. So, what do we think of the Audi Q4 e-tron? Well, it's certainly got that premium car appeal. That Audi badge is obviously going to bring in buyers, and the smart exterior and interior do make it feel rather special. And I do still think that Audi makes the best digital gauges in the business. The only problem? It's all rather expensive, and a Tesla Model Y or even a Skoda Elroq will offer you much the same for a lot less.